Vasco score 3 in the first half, beat Melgar in do-or-die match, and advance to the Sudamericana playoffs. Vasco will compete in the CONMEBOL Sudamericana playoffs. Qualification arrived this Tuesday, 27th, after a 3-0 victory in a head-to-head Group G clash against Melgar at São Januário. All the goals were scored in the first half. With the win, the Cruz Maltino reached 8 points and secured second place in the group, advancing to the knockout stage alongside Lanús, who had already guaranteed first place with 14 points and thus a direct spot in the round of 16. The Peruvians, meanwhile, said farewell to the continental competition with 7 points in third place in Group G. Academia Puerto Cabello finished bottom of the group with 4 points. In the playoffs, Vasco will face one of the third-place teams from the CONMEBOL Libertadores group stage. A victory will send them into the round of 16. This was also Fernando Deniz's second win in 5 matches in charge of Vasco, and his first in the Sudamericana. How the match unfolded. Backed by the passionate supporters, Vasco began the game in imposing fashion, and played exceptionally well. They scored 3 goals in the opening 44 minutes, all but sealing their progression before half-time. It all began in the 3rd minute with a masterpiece from Ryan. The academy graduate exchanged passes with Felipe Coutinho and, inside the area, curled a first-time shot into the corner to open the scoring at the Colina. The hosts doubled their lead 30 minutes later through Paulo Henrique. Following a well-worked move, Lucas Piton delivered a low cross into the box, goalkeeper Carlos Caceda parried, and the ball fell to the fullback, who slotted home to make it 2-0. Just before the interval, Che fed a through ball to Vegetti, who calmly rolled the ball into the bottom corner for 3-0, taking his tally to 18 goals for the season. In the second half, Vasco eased off, giving Melgar some opportunities, yet the Peruvians still returned home without scoring at São Januário. Who will Vasco face in the Sudamericana playoffs? Although there is no draw to determine the Sudamericana playoff fixtures, Vasco will only learn their opponent once both Sudamericana and Libertadores group stages have concluded. The bracket is formed by matching the best second-placed teams from the Sudamericana with the strongest third-placed teams from the Libertadores. At present, Vasco are the 7th-best second-placed side and would face LDU, the second-best third-placed team from the Libertadores. However, much can yet change by Thursday, 29th. The playoff matches will be contested between 16 and the 23rd of July. Next Monday, 2nd, at CONMEBOL headquarters in Luque, Paraguay, a draw, broadcast live on Disney Plus from 12 p.m. Brasilia time, will determine the round of 16 pairings for both the Sudamericana and Libertadores. Wife of Talas play events after xenophobia accusation in São Paulo match. Our nationality will never be an insult. Angeli Val, wife of Miguel Ángel Navarro of Talas, took to social media after her husband was allegedly subjected to xenophobic abuse in the Libertadores fixture against São Paulo on Tuesday night, 27th. According to ESPN's reporting, São Paulo's Bobadilla allegedly called Navarro a starving Venezuelan. Our nationality will never be an insult to us. Despite so many adversities, moving forward is a sign of greatness. As for mental poverty, there is no solution. Even with economic abundance, physical prowess, or innate talent, a poor mind remains poor. That, indeed, is a challenge hard to overcome, wrote Angeli. The mouth speaks of what the heart is full. If justice does not come from CONMEBOL or Brazil, of one thing I'm certain, divine justice does not fail, and God withholds nothing. They do not know how to be men or defend themselves, but I would say that responding with insults on the aggressor's Instagram does not solve anything, it only lowers us to his level, she continued. Thank you to everyone who messaged us about the situation and expressed solidarity with Miguel. We carry scars that will last a lifetime. Let us not become like them. We leave everything in God's hands, she concluded. During the match, following Luciano's goal that secured São Paulo a 2-1 win, there was an altercation close to the 85th minute. Navarro confronted Bobadilla, broke down in tears, and threatened to leave the pitch. After the match, Navarro told ESPN he felt offended by something Bobadilla said but would not elaborate. "I don't want to talk about it, the argument, some things remain here. Bobadilla, knows what he said. I just want to go home. Yes, it was Bobadilla, he knows what he said. Yes, I was offended," he said. According to ESPN reporter Eduardo Afonso, Bobadilla allegedly called him a starving Venezuelan. Still at the stadium, Navarro reported the incident to police, who searched the Sao Paulo dressing room but found that Bobadilla had already departed. On social media, the Talas fullback posted, "I wish I could hold in my hands the solution to my country's hunger. I pray God grants me abundance to help. I don't believe much can be done about mental poverty. I will never be ashamed of my roots, and I will pursue every avenue in response to the xenophobia I experienced in Brazil today at the hands of Damian Bobadilla. There is no place for hate speech in football. Our shirt weighs too much." Hugo Sousa vents again after Corinthians' elimination. Corinthians lost 1-0 to Huracan in Buenos Aires on Tuesday night, 27th, and were eliminated from the CONMEBOL Sudamericana. Goalkeeper Hugo Sousa lamented the team's errors and hopes the squad learns from the early exit. "I think we controlled the first half. We lacked a bit of polish on the final ball, the last pass. Then we returned for the second half with a lapse in concentration that must not happen in a decisive match that was do or die for us. Now we must correct our mistakes and learn from this blow. We return home very sad and will face criticism, rightly so. We cannot fail to get past this stage, our shirt is too heavy. Now is the time to rectify those errors," he told ESPN. When questioned about a possible call-up to the Brazilian national team, the keeper deflected. "Not at this moment. The priority is Corinthians. I'd rather not comment on that now." Corinthians were on course to qualify until the very last seconds, as bottom-placed Racing were beating America de Cali away. However, the Colombians equalized in stoppage time and leapfrogged Corinthians into second place in Group C. Dorival Jr.'s side finished third with 8 points. Now Corinthians must pick up the pieces and turn their focus to the Brazilian Championship. This Sunday, the 1st of June, they face Vitória at the Neoquímica Arena in the 11th round. Kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. Brasilia time. Court orders Palmeiras to show documents to company representing Xabi Alonso. A São Paulo court has upheld a ruling requiring Palmeiras to produce documents relating to the sale of Jan Mateus to Moreirense in Portugal and subsequently to Yokohama Marinos in Japan. The case was brought by Spanish firm IDAB Servicios Deportivos, which represents several Spanish players and coaches, including Real Madrid manager Xabi Alonso. The company's representative is businessman Pedro Uralde Hernández. When filing the lawsuit last year, Uralde claimed he was entitled to a 5% commission on those transfers, despite not personally brokering them, under a contract signed with the club in 2018. Jan was sold to Yokohama for €1.5 million, 8 million Brazilian reals. Jan had joined Palmeiras this year from Vitória for 1.5 million Brazilian reals. Months later, the Spanish intermediary obtained a club document granting him a 10% commission on any overseas transfer and 5% if he did not participate in the negotiation. IDAB alleges it was instrumental in professionalizing the player, who never appeared for the first team. Palmeiras sought to appeal the ruling published in June last year, which ordered disclosure of all transfer documents under threat of fines and enforcement measures. However, the club has yet to overturn the decision. In the most recent judgment, dated late April, the court maintained the ruling. Palmeiras lodged a fresh appeal this week. When approached for comment, the club declined to speak. Borussia Dortmund boss names Fluminense favorites in Club World Cup group, very successful. In an interview with FIFA's website published on Tuesday, 27th, Borussia Dortmund's Croatian coach Niko Kovac praised Fluminense, their opponents in the Club World Cup. In the initial draw, the German side will also face Ulsan HD and Mamelodi Sundowns. Brazilian teams are always top class, and Fluminense have been very successful. So they should be considered favorites to advance from the group alongside us, said the coach. The stadium is expected to be full. Many Brazilians live in the United States, so we presume it will be packed. Borussia Dortmund and Fluminense kick off Group F of the Club World Cup on the 17th of June at 1 p.m. Brasilia time, at MetLife Stadium. Kovac assesses the rest of the group while naming Fluminense among the favorites. The coach admitted it will be a new experience facing all the teams in the group. We don't usually face South American or Asian clubs. You compete in Europe, in the Champions League, or with your national team, but facing these sides is completely new territory for us. We don't know quite what to expect, which only heightens the anticipation. We know the other two teams, Ulsan HD and Mamelodi Sundowns, won't treat this like a holiday. They will want to leave their mark. We must be professional and respectful to achieve our objectives, added Kovac. Why Santos believe Neymar has already paid for himself, despite not yet having the funds to honor the contract. Neymar's sponsorship deals with Puma and Red Bull help to make possible the unusual friendly that Santos will play, amid the Brazilian Championship, this Wednesday, 27th, at 7 p.m. Brasilia time, against RB Leipzig of Germany, another partner of both companies. It exemplifies Neymar's strength as a brand, even though the player has struggled for continuity on the pitch. Out of 20 possible matches since his return, he missed 9. It was by considering what he could deliver both on and off the field that Santos devised their project to facilitate his comeback. This yielded 2 contracts, signed on the 31st of January and valid until the 30th of June 2025, one employment contract directly with Neymar, and another for image rights with Near Sports, the company run by the player's father. As revealed by UOL and confirmed by ESPN, Santos committed to a package worth at least 105 million Brazilian reals, 20.7 million Brazilian reals in gross salary for the period from February to June, and 15 million United States dollars, approximately 85 million Brazilian reals at current exchange rates, for the assignment of rights to use and commercially exploit the athlete's intellectual property. The first agreement is Neymar's actual salary, 4.13 million Brazilian reals gross per month, leaving him with 3 million Brazilian reals net, a record in Brazil for a federative contract. The second contract, with Near Sports, centers on dividing sponsorship revenue generated by the star's arrival. The company led by Neymar's father receives 75% of any uplift in new or improved deals, and the club takes 25%. The 15 million United States dollars is the minimum guaranteed to the company under the document signed by Santos. By way of comparison, that 85 million Brazilian reals exceeds Santos's total sponsorship income in 2023, 77.6 million Brazilian reals, the last year they were in Serie A before Neymar's return. While a challenge for the club, sources told ESPN that even before the contract ends, the number 10 has already paid for himself. The contracts negotiated between Santos and Near Sports will generate sufficient resources for the club to honor its commitments, assured Arminio Neto, Santos's marketing manager, to ESPN. The verb tenses are telling. Contracts negotiated, in the past, will generate, in the future. That is because the Near Sports contract stipulates a deadline of 30 days after Neymar's contract ends to settle the 15 million United States dollars, that is, by the 30th of July. Although both club and Near Sports believe the amount will be reached, Santos will receive the payments after that cutoff date. According to ESPN's reporting, there is no penalty for missing the deadline, but discussions are underway between Santos and Near Sports to renegotiate this point. These talks take place amid uncertainty over Neymar's own renewal, though it is concrete that the partnership with his father's company could continue even if the player leaves Vila Belmiro. The infrastructure improvements that Near Sports has led at the stadium, from corporate boxes to the changing rooms, and at the youth training center indicate this direction. Indeed, the club calculates a saving of 20 million Brazilian reals from the company's involvement in those refurbishments. But has Neymar really paid for himself at Santos? Santos insists that all squad wages are up to date, meaning Neymar is receiving his 3 million Brazilian reals net monthly salary. However, image rights payments follow the cash flow from sponsors. When Neymar's return was agreed and the arrangement with Near Sports finalized, Santos already had 4 uniform sponsorship properties: main shirt, then blaze, upper back, cansao, rear hem, Saint-Gobain, Playco, and sleeve, Cucaldo. Any increase in those deals post-arrival is treated as added value, of which 75% goes to Near Sports. 8 further properties were made available for negotiation, each yielding 75% to Near Sports as there was no prior revenue: upper back main, front hem, side panels, sock, shorts, shooter sleeve, the NBA style arm sleeve Neymar wears, and shirt number. Among existing deals, the main shirt sponsor changed from Blaze to Bet7K, increasing revenue from 22.5 million Brazilian reals to 51 million Brazilian reals, plus $28.5 million, 21.4 million Brazilian reals, 75% to Near Sports, and 7.1 million Brazilian reals, 25% to the club. New partners include Viva Sword, upper back main, Havan, front hem, Paid Safe, sock, UniSLV and Next 10, shorts, Luvi Seguros, number, and Unica Pharma, shooter sleeve. The side panel deal remains under negotiation. ESPN reports project these deals, including the main shirt sponsorship, will generate just over 91 million Brazilian reals for Santos, of which 66 million Brazilian reals counts as added value, meaning 49.5 million Brazilian reals to Near Sports and 16.5 million Brazilian reals to the club. Santos also deducts from the minimum amount payable to Neymar's father's company the value of sponsors who became personal partners of the star after the club agreement, such as Viva Sort and Cansao. Beyond sponsorships, other revenues are projected to service the Neymar project, thanks to his return. The Socio Rei membership scheme is one example. Between January and February, income rose from 2.5 million Brazilian reals to 4.2 million Brazilian reals, leading Santos to forecast annual revenues of 50 million Brazilian reals versus 30 million Brazilian reals before Neymar's comeback. Santos and Near Sports also expect 11 million Brazilian reals from social media content and a behind-the-scenes documentary on Neymar's return. Indeed, in 2024, when renewing their Umbro contract, Santos agreed a bonus clause triggered by Neymar's return, a sum already paid by the manufacturer. The new blue away kit to be worn for the first time next Sunday, 1 Stone, against Botafogo, forms part of this project, with a share of revenues from shirts personalized with the star's details directed to Near Sports. Savings and expenses. The estimated 20 million Brazilian reals saving on infrastructure is not the only financial benefit attributed to Neymar's arrival, though there are also costs uniquely tied to his signing. Santos is responsible for all travel and accommodation expenses for Neymar, his companions, and 3 Near Sports staff at sponsor events or commercial recordings. This includes private air travel for the player and entourage, 5-star hotel stays, and business class flights for his father's company's staff. The Near Sports agreement also provided for hiring a press officer appointed by the company to manage public relations, plus a photographer and filmmaker to accompany Neymar daily, with full access to club facilities. Will he renew? Until last week, there was widespread optimism at Santos that Neymar would renew and remain at the club beyond the 30th of June. However, his response when asked about his future after the Copa do Brasil exit, "I don't know yet, I don't know," has introduced uncertainty.